Hello everyone, welcome to the lab and welcome to the new video. Today I'm gonna make everything quick. So I've been watching a lot of Benla's prediction wish lists from other YouTuber recently, and out of all of them, I don't see a change that anyone has really mentioned. So today I'm giving my proposal to one specific change to, well, more so just a wish list, thinking might be possible. So hear me out. My proposal is Ben diffusion. I know, some of you already moving down to the dislike button already. Well, the people might question, why are we doing this to branded, right? This deck is not even having any good results in the past format. Chooses, you're right, but no one really see this as a branded card anymore. At this point, this is more a Draco Tail card. And I think in order for Konami to hit Draco Tail, but like some few other YouTubers have mentioned, maybe we have a possibility to just keep pure Draco Tail alive. So what's the really good way to do it? That raised me to brainstorm a bit and leading to the conclusion of, let's just ban Brand Diffusion. See, Konami has done similar things in the past. During, I guess, late 2024, Konami made a move of banning original Sinful Snake Eye and cuts off the connection between Diabell and Snake Eyes. And that pretty much has just killed the whole Snake Eye deck for the fact we, Snake Eye Ash and Popular has been slowly coming back off the ban list, and they have not done absolutely anything since then. And I guess, yes, the Diabell engine is doing something in the current meta with the Azaminas, but that's more because of the release of the Dark Magician of Destruction. And since then, the Azamina / Diabell package also has not done anything since the ban of original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. So let's just say I think this is like an okay approach just to cut the bridge between branded and Draco Tail a bit. It's not going to be completely gone. Like, the concept branded Draco Tail will still exist. And, given more reason, one of my biggest, I'll say annoying thing when I play against branded Draco Tail is whenever my opponent activate like a Fallen Virtues in my turn, when we got to like a kinda, I stop him by hand trap, so we are in like a very minimum grind back and forth slow game kind of deal. Whenever my opponent activate Fallen Virtues, sending an Albion, I know I'm probably dead. Because not like in other decks where the Virtues just getting another copy of Virtues against Draco Tail, they are getting a Brand Diffusion next turn. And Brand Diffusion is one of the hardest thing to stop because it's a fusion spell. And it is weak to Ash. It's probably only weak to Ash, since not every deck can even play Impulse to stop this, right? And this is the part I don't like about Brand Diffusion or about the branded part in Draco Tail deck is it's kind of hard to interact with it. Draco Tail, with just the Draco Tail engine, is also like a different attribute, not really light and dark, so Bestial is not as great. Like, if we are in a very Bestial heavy format, maybe this Albion can be stopped by a Bestial after mill before we get to the end phase, so everything's still in check. But Bestial are not naturally that great against Draco Tail, to the point this sequence line is just nearly uninterruptible. And if we have Brand Diffusion gone from the picture, they can still do similar things, but instead of sending Albion, they sending another fusion target like Titanic Clag, like Sprint, and just try to summon Fallen White at the end phase. It will still achieve similar results, but it will make this line way more acceptable because Fallen White is way more interactable and like easy to prevent in other way. So this is the one way to, I'll say, if Brand Diffusion is gone from the Draco Tail deck, we'll make some good changes to how we can interact with it. And also, even for the Draco Tales, it's fine. Like, this is Brand Fusion is not the best starter in the Draco Top deck because it locks you into fusion quite early and for the whole turn. A lot of people who have played Draco Top probably understand if you open Fallen White plus Brand Fusion, it's actually a pretty awkward hand because you want to Fallen White to access the Synchro Ecclesia, but then that shuts off Brand Fusion completely. But if you do resolve your Brand Fusion, or you want to resolve Brand Fusion later in a turn, Fallen White Dragon doesn't really do much at all. And it's kind of even exposing a weakness because you don't want to keep Fallen White Dragon at the end board because it will, especially in the mirror match, risking your Secretarian, which is one of the stronger pieces, to be countered by opponent's Alba Lunatus. And this is one thing, like, as a Draco Tail side, you have to kind of prevent it happen. But if you open with these two cards, you kind of drop into a very awkward spot where you just Alba Lunatus yourself at the end board for your own to make sure your opponent's not doing that to you. So yeah, I would say losing Brand Fusion is not the end of the world for Draco Tail, and it will make the interaction between Draco Tail a bit more healthy than before. However, there's obviously the branded side of the problem, right? This is ultimately a branded card. So why are we doing, like, how is branded gonna recover from this? For the past, 5 years, they've been relying on this card as their pure starter. Truth is, with the release of Fallen White Dragon, this is no longer as a big problem. If you have, I guess not really many of us have played Branded because in the current meta, Branded is a strictly worse version of Draco Tail, almost. And it also has a horrible matchup against Draco Tail for the fact Branded cannot really deal with Secretariat easily, and along with, like, Draco Tail Flame, Draco Tail Sting, it all gets annoying together. However, if for the Branded side, if you know any friends who does play Branded, they'll tell you Fallen White Dragon is actually just a better starter in the Branded deck, which this conflict between Branded Fusion, the Fusion Lock, and then Fallen White Dragon want to Synchro Summon do also exist in not just the Draco Tail, but the Branded deck. If a Branded player starts Branded Fusion, the ending board is actually quite small because they don't have access to Ecclesia, the Synchro. And then ideally it's more like you want to start a turn with Fallen White Dragon or any other access to it. And then if things go wrong, if like a negate happen on White Dragon, you extend with Branded Fusion. But because of that, a lot of people, if you know you are playing against a Branded deck, they will even hold their negates, just not even use on White Dragon, and just wait for you commit into the Synchro that shuts off Branded Fusion later in the turn, and then interact with you. So I would say losing Branded Fusion now in 2026 for the Branded deck is arguably okay, because your best starter now is Fallen White Dragon, or sometimes in the other form, it's just branding High Spirit. High Spirit, because they access Branded, access White Dragon and also send one in the graveyard as process, will actually give you a bigger board and give you more wiggle room and play into a lot of other things. So yeah, and then how would Branded really look like after, let's hypothetically say I ban Branded Dragon if I'm Konami. I attempted a remote regional last weekend with So. If you haven't watched that profile, you're welcome to go watch it. But the whole concept of that deck is like using a lot of synchros, kind of abuse White Dragon as much as possible, going to synchros and going to the White Ecclesia. Remember, White Ecclesia used to be a Swordsoul card. So you go White Ecclesia, bridge into the Swordsoul cards, and then do a lot of level A synchro plays. And then in their turn, you use the OG Albaz that you can have variety access to from Ecclesias to superpower your opponent. And that whole deck really plays like a Branded deck that doesn't have Branded Fusion, which I guess it's a way to play in the meta, if hypothetically this goes dead. But ultimately, there is still some questions, right? Like, the biggest question that a lot of people probably have in mind is, why are we even doing this? Why do we even care about banning Brandon Fusion but keep Dracotel alive, right? There is a way easier and honestly, in my opinion, more likely thing to happen is they just gonna gut it Dracotel. In my opinion, they probably just gonna limit Rahu. So now we have one of each Rahu, Ketu, and Mululu to the point Dracotel has less starter as well as nearly no grind game to the point the deck is pretty much just gone from the meta, which I think that's more likely to happen. But let's hypothetically ignore the question of why we even keep Dracotel alive. Let's just brainstorm of what if we can keep Dracotel alive? What are the good ways to really tackle it? This question. So my solution would probably just be ban Brandon Fusion, cut the connection between Brandon and Dracotel a bit. Then maybe either semi or not even touch anything about Rahu. We'll see how it goes, right? So that's one thing I thought about and feel like could be making a fun short video about a banless prediction / wish list. So let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or even disagree. Feel free to let me know, and I will see you in the next one, and hopefully the banless soon. And goodbye.